we thought today that we would sit down and talk about cost. What did it cost to take a charter catamaran and do a complete and total refit to make it our condo-maran on the water? So we have a huge disclaimer before we start into all of these numbers. Big. First of all, you have to do the work yourself. If you're paying someone, contractors, to do most or all of this work, it does become cost prohibitive and you better have really deep pockets. We didn't, but we had the skill and the knowledge and most of the tools, which is what gave us the ability to do this.
And we love to bleed and get dirty.
And cry.
This is the amount that we paid for everything that we added to the boat, and we had time. So we did a lot of shopping. We knew ahead of time what we wanted to put in the boat, and so we continually shopped and just looked for all of those items ahead of time to make sure that we had everything ready when we were ready to do that portion of the refit, but it gave us time to shop to really get the best prices. And you'll see, if you cross-reference any of this stuff, we really did get some pretty phenomenal pricing. Not all of this stuff was new, and some of it was used, like the batteries. You can't buy new Tesla batteries in the form that we bought them. And some things we really, really wanted, and we just didn't want to go to the big box store and pay retail for it, but we are okay getting floor models. We obviously know how to fix stuff.
Scratch and dent.
Yes,
It's okay.
Scratch and dent. And we did save thousands in the process, especially in the galley in that process. So don't discard or dismiss that possibility of getting some of the equipment if you've got the time, and you can be vigilant about looking for it. You can find those deals as well.
Also, secondary disclaimer, when we did the refit and started purchasing everything, it was right around that special time of year where there are all of the Black Friday sales and holiday discounts and those sort of things. So that played a huge factor in what we paid for a lot of these different things. So, disclaimers aside, ready? Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. All right, to start off with, we had to get the boat here. And by here, we mean West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, South Florida. And we chose to bring it here because to Cracker Boy Boat Works is where we did the refit work on it, because it was the only DIY yard that would fit a 26-foot beam cat that was close to where we had family. We've got some family in South Florida as well. And so that posed a challenge for us, because when we bought the boat, it was in the middle of hurricane season. And no one would insure the boat in hurricane season, and we didn't know how to sail yet, so we couldn't bring it here ourselves. And
hiring a captain was going to be very cost prohibitive by the time you hired the captain, paid for crew and provisioning and everything else. So
and the insurance to insure that crew to bring it was outrageously expensive.
So to get her here, we put our boat on a boat.
On a shipping ship.
And shipped her here. So once she actually got onto the shipping ship, she was insured, and that gave us peace of mind, and it was worth the expense of shipping her on a shipping ship. So
it was about the same cost. So we're going to go through that. We got quotes for around $10,000 for insurance for a crew to bring our boat through the Caribbean during hurricane season. You need to add another $350 to $500 a day for a captain. That could have been, depending on weather, a 7 to 10 day trip. So you can do the math on that. That starts adding up. And then what happens if something happens to the boat?
Something breaks.
Yeah, we had surveyed the boat, but there was no life raft on the boat. It was missing a bunch of key features that would have been fine if it was tied to a dock somewhere. But I'm not going to put a crew on the boat. We didn't want to do that and just send them out over the ocean saying, figure it out. And if something did happen, it would be absolutely reasonable for them to pull into the nearest port and to pay for or acquire any repairs or provisions. And that would be extremely expensive. It can be. If anybody's ever tried to buy anything in the islands, you better bring it with you. So we paid $18,500 to get our ship on a shipping ship from the BBIs to here. It was a bit of a coordination effort. And
we also price shop that. So don't be afraid to ask for a discount or a better deal. We did, and we ended up getting it. So don't be afraid.
The first quote we got was over $43,000 from a German company. And none of these people that you will ship your boat with actually own the boats. They're just brokers. So they're just finding available spots on a boat and
a ship
for your boat. And then they are brokering that and their markup is where you're going to pay. So to get the boat on the shipping ship, we had to move it from the marina we bought it to another marina for a while until the ship showed up. We paid a captain to do that, really great guy, really paid attention to the boat, and then we were fortunate enough to have him move it from that dock to the big ship where she came to Florida. The total cost for that was $350.
Plus $400 for dockage while she sat and waited for the shipping ship to arrive.
Yes.
So that was kind of our first little bite into our budget, was the shipping expenses.
Any part of this refit that we talk about today, the link to the refit playlist will be below in the description. So you'll be able to jump to that and see more detailed information about this. We're just going to skim the surface. So back to the galley. We had new counters, new sinks, and
all new appliances.
All new appliances, from the refrigeration, ovens, cooktops, microwave, the whole 9 yards. And in the process of that, of course, was putting in new drawers and reconfiguring all of that. That process came in at the following.
So our total for the galley was about $17,249. So in the power and electrical section, this is going to include everything from not only the wire and the outlets all the way through to the batteries and all of the Victron product that we use.
Solar outlets, all the way down to the equipment, everything.
So keep in mind also that when it comes to the batteries, this is one of those items that we bought used. You can't buy Tesla batteries outside of a car that...
Or a Tesla Powerwall, which won't fit in the boat, by the way.
Right. So the only way to do that was to purchase them used.
Yeah, and we did buy those from a company in California. It was a very short mileage car, and it had no water damage or no damage to the actual batteries themselves. So if you're going to buy a used set of Tesla batteries or a used module, make sure you buy them from a reputable source and you've got history for those parts.
So our total for our electrical section is $35,655. Now that seems like a really big number, but remember the batteries were in there, and those were at $12,500 after we sold the additional modules that we didn't use.
Right.
Okay.
And keep in mind, everybody, this is everything from the stainless to make the solar array, the solar panels, all the wire, charge controllers, batteries, inverters, I mean, down to the individual outlets and light switches, everything in the boat. That's a lot of, it is a huge category.
We ended up, because of the accident in the boatyard where the boat fell on us, we ended up doing a bunch more work that we weren't planning. Oh, and COVID. A bunch of work that we weren't necessarily planning on doing, which included repairing the patches that were done in the BVIs that turned out to be...
They weren't repairs, they were patches.
Yeah, that turned out to be less than. So we're glad that we did it.
Yeah.
However, those repairs, when you talk about fiberglass, replacing the core, doing the fairing, all the tools that we needed, we bought a couple of extra grinders and some additional Festool equipment to be able to make that go a lot smoother.
I think this is really going to shock people. This is a spot, sorry the bugs are out here getting us. This is a spot where you can save a bunch of money if you can coach your skills up. We did a lot of work, and there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this, but the cost was really...
And ugly cries.
Ugly cries with the holes in the boat. So this is fiberglass, balsa core that we replaced.
I already said all that.
It's true. Well, you have to be bossy about it.
Just saying, I already
okay,
said
what's
it.
the total?
So our total for the repairs ended up coming in, again, no labor is included here because we did our blood, sweat, and tears, $2,120.
With about 1,000 or 1,500 hours worth of work.
As a side note, we learned this after getting virtually completely done with the part of the fiberglass repairs. There's a product called peel ply, which significantly reduces your grinding. Sid'll put a link
to what peel ply is. The short answer is, when you apply epoxy...
She won't put a link, I don't know.
She won't put a link. When you apply epoxy, what happens is that you have to let it set up before you can actually lay more epoxy, or before you can sand and grind it. And when you do that, there's a lot of prep work to break up the surface to give a good bonding. This peel ply goes on like saran wrap.
Yeah.
And when you peel it off after everything's cured, it provides a perfect textured surface to accept another layer of glass, fairing, whatever you're going to put on it.
So the amount of time that we would have saved by having used the peel ply is pretty significant.
Would have been awesome. Yeah.
We learned our lesson. So our paint list includes bottom paint, which will also include the barrier coat, hull coating, our non-skid that we did on the coach roof, as well as the additional tools, things like paint trays and rollers, that sort of thing.
Sprayers, stuff like that.
The total is $7,430.
It is.
For paint.
This paint is really expensive. Like really expensive. But it goes a long way, and I'm just glad it's done.
The storage room is going to include things like the butcher block countertop that we put in, the flooring, the appliances, which would be the washer and dryer, the water maker, all of
the drawers I built,
marine grade ply for the drawers, as well as the hardware, so all of the slides for all of the drawers. That category came up to $85.45, so not terrible if you're considering the fact that includes the water maker and the appliances.
Yeah, $7,000 of that was the appliances and the water maker. So the next thing is going to be head rebuilds. This is the sexy part. It's really a shitty job. So all of our hoses were permeated.
Intended.
Because the boat had sat for a long time with nobody using it. Any waste that was in the boat sat in those hoses, and the odor comes through the hoses.
We don't need to talk about the poop
And the
tubes.
only way to get around that is to replace them. So it's replacing those, rebuilding all the heads, which basically just means taking all the impellers and O-rings and all the valves, the one-way valves and all that, getting all that done. And that wasn't horrible.
But this is also going to include things like brand new faucets and the drains, that sort of thing, just to pretty her up a bit, because those things corrode very quickly, so we wanted to replace them and give them a new shine.
And that was only $1,090 for all of that, which was it was a lot of work, but it really made all the difference in the heads.
So the necessary but not sexy category of safety is going to include things like the VHF, the AIS, autopilot, transducer, all the things that get us navigated. Navigated, is that a word?
The dinghy, which I know it's kind of
navigating safely.
Navigate.
Whatever.
It's going to get us there.
Underwater lights. I personally, when we're coming back to the boat, I like the underwater lights. I kind of think that it's a safety feature, so I enjoy it. Spreader lights, courtesy lights, all of those things are included in this category.
Additional bilge pumps. We put repetitive bilge pumps in the boat. We put new depth sounders in.
Life sling. What's that other thing called? Life raft. The other safety thing.
Yeah, life raft.
So it's a big category of a lot of things. Our anchor and our bridle is included in that.
Yep.
Those things all totaled up to $27,213. It's a lot of money. Worth it. So this next category is the yard bill. Now this one, we have a slight caveat to this because there were a couple of things that added on to our time in the yard. This is our entire yard bill, all of the charges that we were charged in the course of being in the yard. So using the loader to unload things like the Tesla batteries.
The crane for the rig on and off in hurricane season.
The yard time itself, the haul and launch, it includes all of those things. So that bill is I wish. That bill was $36,155.
Now, the caveat also is we did have a boat fall on us, and that boat falling on us and dealing with the insurance to get those repairs, although no major damage to the boat, there was expensive parts that it broke, and we had to wait for that stuff. And there was a period of time that we were waiting. So, would we have gone back in the yard later to do more stuff? We continued to work through the whole process, so we just included it in. We probably wouldn't have been there the whole time if it wasn't for the insurance deal, but you know.
It was too difficult to try and extrapolate out what we assumed the yard bill would be, so we just included it in the whole number.
Yeah, exactly.
We have kind of a miscellaneous section, so things like that are going to include the astronomical bolt depot orders that we placed over the course of 349 days.
$700 in bolts.
All the hinges, and we replaced all the hinges on all the cabinetry in the boat.
All the latches.
All of those things got replaced. Also, any of like little things, incidentals, like the butyl rubber that we used to reattach all of bed all of the hardware for the cleats and all of those sorts of things. So we even included that in this number. Surprisingly, it's and the veneer.
And the veneer.
Redoing all the veneer in the cabins and the salon and galley as well.
That video's to come, but basically we're doing, because it was a charter boat, it was scratched. We're actually recoating and reveneering the inside of the boat, and we'll show you that later, but that's included in this list.
It is included. So $5,135. So then the last category that we have is going to be kind of our comfort category. Things like air conditioning.
Which we haven't used yet.
Our logo, putting the logo and all of the decal and artwork that we did had professionally digitized and whatnot.
TV for movie nights.
Yep. The grill, our little pizza oven, our mattresses. We replaced all the mattresses in the boat. So the curtains that I made.
Kim made all the curtains in the boat.
All of those things are included in...
New freshwater pumps. We had great water pressure. All those little things just to make us comfortable and make it feel like home.
So that category added up to $12,680. So
the total.
Here it is in round numbers. We budgeted how much for our refit?
We budgeted $100,000 because it seemed like a round number, and we did some rough figuring. We thought, yeah, I think we're pretty much going to be able to hit that. But that was based off of just seeing the boat at survey and us flying down there and taking a look at it and knowing what we knew about construction and what have you, and we padded it a little bit. A lot of stuff happened that changed it, so the things that you don't know and things that grew and things that we decided we wanted, the total came up to, go ahead, you can say it. I'll say it. It's 173,352 clams to make our dream come true. And now you have to take that number for us and add it to the price of the boat. Everyone's boat's going to be different. It all depends on what you buy. Do you buy a 12-year-old boat? Do you buy a 2-year-old boat? So knowing that, you guys should be able to say, okay, I do or don't like what you guys have done. I know this is the boat I'm going to buy. You can put the two numbers together and see if it's worth it for you. All right, so we hope that that was helpful for everybody, and now all the questions have been answered, hopefully. If you have any additional, please put them down below in the comments, and we'll definitely do our best to get to everybody. We want to really thank our patrons. You guys have really made a huge difference in helping us get these videos produced and camera gear and all that stuff and keeping us going. And because obviously the boat's expensive. And yeah, besides that, like, follow, share it with your friends, and
don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so that you get the notifications that the video is coming out.
Yeah. That's it. I think we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And that's a wrap.